Good evening, everybody, and it's Wednesday again. Time for another Interconnect. 8 o'clock. Been a very, very busy day for me, so I'm just kind of trying to hold onto things together here and make the best of what I've got. I have my fair brother with me here to share
trusty assistant.
Trusty
who's just
assistant.
been roundly told off for talking too much.
Yes, because he can be a bit distracting sometimes, but you know that was,
I've gone all out of focus.
Now that little clip you just saw there, right? I just thought I'd throw that in because that guy driving the tractor was actually 101 years old, and it was from the festival we had a couple of weeks ago with Pete's, the Tractor Festival, and it just goes to show, how you can live a pretty healthy life here in Portugal and live for quite a long time.
And still drive a tractor.
And still drive a tractor reasonably well. So there's something to be said for living in Portugal by the looks of it.
Do you think he was legal?
What do you mean legal?
Well, what kind of a test do you have to take for 100?
You've got to have a license,
being 101
you do have to have a
on
license.
a tractor?
You do have to have a license.
I'd like to see that test.
So,
can you see the barn door?
Tonight we're going to be probably jumping all over the place, trying to do different things. I have a lovely guest who's coming on the screen in a short while after I've done a little bit of housekeeping. Isabella, who actually, for us who used to live around here, there was a little bar restaurant called Amigos, which was quite famous, and it was a great meeting place for your expats and things like craft markets and stuff. So hopefully she can tell us about what the plans are and a few more events along the way. And so I'll bring her on in just a minute. I'll just do a little bit of housekeeping first, bring the other guests on who you might recognize. Down in here we have the very familiar Pete and Diane.
Hi,
Diane.
How you doing, guys?
Oh yeah, it's so. I'm a bit floaty at the moment, but there we go.
He's just taking all his medication.
Yeah, I cannot believe how much you get and how good the hospitals are up here as well. They're fantastic. So yeah,
we're going to delve into that in one minute, Pete, because I'm sure you've got a story to tell us there. But a relative newcomer to the stage, and I'm always pleased to see him because he's a good asset to have on the screen.
Eric.
It's Eric.
Hi,
Eric.
Hey, Eric.
Eric, how you doing, man?
Cheers. I'm doing well. Hope you are.
Well, we're okay. We're okay. So,
Pete and Diane, hope you're doing fine up where you're at.
Oh
He's
yeah,
not well, but I'm all right.
yeah. Well,
Oh, well.
yeah.
So come on, Pete. Tell us about your woes. What's been happening in your world?
So I was I've been a bit ill. So I had like 3 days where I was feeling a bit rough, and I called the doctor. Well, Di called the doctor.
He started coughing up
There
blood.
you are. Oh, you know what blokes are like, Eric, and well, all of us. We all know that we're crud at like calling doctors anyway. So, but our doctor is awesome. He's lovely. Apart from forgetting stuff all the time.
Which he didn't this time.
Yeah, he didn't. And so kind of I always give him a bottle of wine. He always pops over but I didn't realise he thought we were Dutch for ages anyway. But
You do look a bit Dutch, though, Pete. I must admit, I could be.
Yeah.
You could be mistaken for thinking a bit Dutch.
I think Di's a little bit short to be Dutch. If I'm judging from my Dutch friends who are kind of, I think you're a little bit on the small side to be a Dutch person. But then I suppose if you're kind of, he's not tiny as a Portuguese guy, but he's lovely. He's really nice.
So he's been in hospital all morning having tests.
Well, in the little hospital, I was so impressed, man. I mean, I remember going for tests. So I had an ECG, and they inject you with a dye as well, just to check up on it. And I had a X-ray, and the whole process from me getting the prescription last night. The doctor was here at about 7 o'clock last night, to going through the hospital and getting all the tests done. Probably about 2 hours at the hospital, and then I got everything done. They were absolutely lovely.
He could open his own pharmacy. The amount of tablets he's got,
and the prescriptions here are nuts. So I have at the moment. I'll just give you a little sample of what we got. I think this was in grand total. This was like €25, right? And I've got that many drugs, and they usually honestly, it's a bit like Willy Wonka.
So he's already taken us. So he's a little bit dozy today.
Yeah, definitely. And I've got an impressive bruise where they put the wound in. Yeah. But they were just lovely. The hospital staff were unbelievably lovely, and kind of they're all practicing English out on me and giggling, even though the machine they were going to reset it to English, but she decided to do a kind of voice.
So it's been the one where you go through it and it goes round.
Yeah, it's quite cool. So no, I was impressed, but I have to say, the health service here is just it's phenomenally good. I think personally, but that was kind of a bit private, but it was it's so worth it.
So
and
we've
it's
got to
so
wait
cheap.
about 5 days now for the results.
Yeah, or I've got to download the app, which I'm still rubbish at. I'm sure you guys are much better at doing it than I am, but I've still got to figure it out. But I was just super impressed because in England, I know what it's like. Well, certainly in London,
You never get to see a doctor.
yeah, well, I wouldn't get the tests the next morning after the doctor prescribed it to me, and we wouldn't get the doctor coming out to the house at like 6, 7 at night, and and know them all personally. I think it's a bit like what you experience. You know, you were watching the 100-year-old behind us, and I can tell you some stories about him. Is the fact that kind of everyone. I'm sure it's more probably a countryside-y thing, but the fact that you've got a personal relationship with everyone is really lovely, and it makes a big difference to kind of getting into things. The only time in London I got seen as quickly was when the supervisor of the emergency room, I was teaching their son, so I managed to get through an emergency room in London in about 25 minutes, right? And that was only because I didn't realise the person doing the assessment on when I was going to be seen was like that quick. So no, it was really good. Oh,
what I'm going to do, because I can't stand to see him looking so lonely and dejected down in the corner, I'm going to bring you on, Isabella, so you can be part of this. I don't like leaving you out. So, a warm welcome for our special guest, Isabella.
Hello.
yay.
Interesting,
Hi,
Isabella.
everyone.
How long have you been here for in Portugal?
Quite a while now. I'd say 18 months.
18 months. And have you ever had to use the health service yet for anything?
I haven't. I've been lucky enough that I haven't had to yet, but I have heard good things about it. I've heard that it's very efficient, so and helpful, which is, it's good. It's good to hear.
Yeah.
Just to have that. Yeah.
And really cheap, honestly. What was it? We had Elishma, who you've met, Gary, over
Our tractor driver.
and he was saying, how much is an EpiPen in the States now?
Crazy.
$700 to $1,000. Yeah. So, and you think about how much medicine I just got for €25. It's nuts, right? So it's extremely good value as well, I think, to be honest. So I don't know. Anyway, my apologies. Isabella, go ahead.
No worries. And Eric, anything notable happened this week? Are you in fine fettle or anything else you might tell us about?
Yeah, well, Pete says he spent 2 hours in the hospital today getting a whole barrage of exams and stuff. Well, my wife and I spent 3 hours today in the local, I don't know the Portuguese term, but the local citizen shop.
Mm-hmm.
Citizen space, whatever.
Yeah.
I had gotten a digital ID thing.
Brilliant. Excellent. Yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah, about 3 weeks ago. And I think by the next day, it was already locked for whatever reason. So today we decided we were going to venture up there. And we waited in the waiting room probably more than 2.5 hours. And we got up. The rooms up there were just packed with people, and it was set for all different. There was a tax area. There was an area like we needed to go to. There was a passport area, all in the same building. So you take the queue. I think we walked in, and the number was up to A32, and we had A106. So yeah, but once we got to the seat, my wife did in her best Portuguese, spoke to the woman at the desk, explaining what the problem was. No problem. Boom, boom, boom. And I would say in less than 5 minutes, problem was resolved, and we were out of there. After nearly 3 hours of waiting to get in there. But anyway, that's just kind of the way it goes. But as far as the health system goes here, my experience has been very good. I've gone to both the private side and to the public side, and I have absolutely no complaints. So,
yeah,
there you
go.
Excellent. Good.
Yep.
I'm just going to do a few messages that have come in at the side. I'll just do. Bob is out walking Gus the dog. Gus is the dog, for those who don't know. But he's out there. He's listening. Our friend and colleague from the Man Cave, Lee McGrady, he is also out there and saying good evening, people.
Good evening.
And your dear wife, my favourite American lady, is out there too, saying "Hola, boa tarde."
Boa tarde.
I take exception to that, but you can keep going.
I did say woman. I didn't say man.
Oh, I thought it was favorite American.
Oh, I thought you said your favorite American.
No. I did leave woman at the end of it because I know you were offended by that.
All right.
And we have Mark out there as well from almost literally the centre of Portugal. The creator of our wonderful little website, who tells us about all the events and
Great website that.
It's fantastic. I mean, if you really want just to trace something to do for the weekend or what's coming in the next few days, go to that website. I will try and find the link for it if I can. But I've got a lot of things cooking here at the moment.
There's a lot of things on this screen.
There is a lot of things and not much room to put them, to be honest.
Yeah. I find it quite confusing.
Elisa out there back in Blighty says hello. And I think that's it for a moment. So, okay.
Good.
Isabella, I'm going to come to you first because I want to know. I want to know what's happening because I've got a vested interest in this because you're not very far away from me.
Oh,
You're just down the road because I'm in Peninsular, which is Alviasra.
Yeah.
And you know, we used to go to Amigos quite a lot. It was a very popular place for us to go. And
was that before you moved here?
No. COVID really struck it hard
Yeah.
and kind of took it out of the game, really.
Yeah.
And I know you guys are relatively newish to that business, and you moved in there and you got a few ideas. Would you like to share what those ideas are? Could you tell us a bit about what's coming?
Yeah, of course. So right now we're still figuring out the logistics of opening as for the public to just pop over and have a beer or whatever, although we are planning on doing that in the near future. We'll keep our Facebook page updated, but we're getting the beer taps and everything put in, so it will be kind of a cafe bar as it is in the name. But right now we're working on some kind of private stuff going on. One of the big things that I'm working on is getting the craft markets back up and running. So we'll be having the first one on the 31st of May this month, the last Saturday, and those will go on to the throughout the summer until August, and then we'll reevaluate from there. I'd also like to do flea markets here over the summertime. I'm in the works of setting up a little book club, a monthly book club here. And then, in the next week, I've got a couple of workshops over here as well. Some people have rented out the space and they're going to be doing some different little artistic stuff and medicinal herbs and stuff. So we're trying to get it up and running slowly but surely. And I would like to do events. I'd like to do kind of a theme of the month just to keep it a little more exciting for myself and for those around me. So what my plan is that we kind of have a cuisine of the month, and then we have a event to kick off the cuisine, a ticketed dinner, and then kind of follow that throughout the food of the month for the rest of the month, and then that theme will be carried through with everything we serve, basically. And then we'll do the odd afternoon tea. We're trying to figure out what's we're throwing a lot of stuff to the wall and seeing what's going to stick at the moment and seeing where the interest lies, because you get a lot of different opinions. And when I try and speak to people about what their favorite thing about Amigos was and what to avoid, I get a lot of opinions that really make me question everything that I know. So, I'd like to do quiz nights. I've got a lot of things that I want to do, and just trying to figure out how to get those things done. Basically.
Well, I think, from my own experience, I've been here for nearly 6 years now.
Yeah.
The local immigrant community, I'll call them that because that's what I call them, has grown quite dramatically since I first came. Even yesterday I was in the Alviasra town there, heard a lot of English-speaking voices. I had a couple of chats with some new people I hadn't seen. There was an American couple from California. There was actually another couple from New York as well, and another couple from somewhere else. And it seems to be on the move here. People are coming, buying properties, and they like what they see. Yeah. So as far as like the older Amigos, had quite a limited sort of clientele. You've got a few more people to play with, and hopefully, bring the Portuguese along as well. And
I think it would be nice as a counterpoint to like traditional Portuguese cuisine, which, you know, by and large is good, to have something a bit different, you know, something with a few more different worldly flavors. That would be lovely.
Yeah.
Sauces.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
That's what Portuguese cuisine mainly lacks, is sauce. I think it's often too
Yeah,
dry.
there are no sauces in Portuguese cuisine.
It's weird, and spice. You think they discovered all those spices when they went to Macau, and yet what have we got? Piri piri. It drives me nuts sometimes.
Yeah. So I think really for I'm going to say expats, immigrant expats. Yeah. There's probably a big space, a big hole for us, you know, and Americans too, where we don't get that international sort of menu anymore. It's very Portuguese focused, and as good as that is, and as natural and great quality and enjoyable, you do hanker for you know, the odd curry, the odd Thai meal, something from Hong Kong, you know, and you just something of that kind of like ilk, a bit of internationalism. I think personally I would like.
I agree.
That needs talking about, you know, because it's easy for me to say, right, and everybody goes, oh yeah. But would that bring people through the door? Would that bring the punters in?
I mean, I think so, and I think that that's why I'm trying to do different cuisines, not just sticking to one. Partly because I'm a little indecisive, and I also get bored very quickly. So if I stuck to one, I know that I'd lose interest in a couple of months. But I do think you're right. There's definitely a market, and we are in a kind of a little valley where there isn't a whole lot of difference. I know if you go closer towards the coast, there's all sorts of things, you know, if you go to Caldas and those areas, and then of course Coimbra's got a few different things. But I do definitely think that people here, there are enough people that, you know, if not everybody goes all the time, there are enough that if everybody tries once or twice, it could be feasible. I'm hoping.
Difficult.
That's what I'm banking on. So
it's difficult because, I mean, if I put myself in your position, I would be saying to myself, well, okay, who mainly am I going to get through the door? Is it going to be Portuguese people? Is it going to be foreigners? Therefore, then you have to start moving the menu. If it's Portuguese people, then, you know, you've got to follow the Portuguese route because they don't tend to like too much spice, I find. You know, like when you get a new Chinese restaurant opens up or a new curry restaurant, what happens after about 6 months is, and it's dependent on getting Portuguese people in, that they dumb down the menu in terms of like spiciness and taste and I think, you know, like Indian cuisine, it's all about like the richness and the spice and the aromas and all of that. And because Portuguese people they're not alone. I mean, if you go to Italy, it's the same type of thing. They're a bit reticent and it's a bit risky, and, you know, although the spice to them is piri piri.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they could be persuaded. It's just getting them through the door, which is difficult. I mean, I don't know if you know Currylicious. I'm sure you do in Miranda. I was chatting to them, and they said about 40% of their clientele at the moment are Portuguese, which I think is fantastic. You know, and I don't know if they have a different kind of curries that they serve for the Portuguese, but there is that. I think as more immigrants, expats, whatever you want to call, are coming over here, there is a level of interest, I guess, I hope. We would like to be as welcoming as possible to the Portuguese. My Portuguese is, I'm learning, but it's, you know, it's now bomb. But, you know, just to make it a space where, that's why I'm trying to keep everything, all my posts on Facebook, English and Portuguese. You know, if I'm going to write stuff, I want to write in Portuguese, just so they know that there's a level there that I'm trying, you know.
I think you have to anyway, right? Even if they don't turn up, you still have to do that for public relations.
Exactly.
You know, otherwise you're going to get some negativity from the kind of Portuguese community, because they'll just go, "Oh, that's just for foreigners."
No,
exactly.
I mean, what you could do, and we've got.
Did you say no?
Well, no, I've just recently. If you You put me off the stride now. Before I was going to say,
Good.
Oh yeah, we got a friend, our
Yes,
friend
really.
Mark out there. The one who does the website for all the events. He plays a game called Malia, which is a Portuguese game, which is basically 2 sticks 20 meters apart, and you throw discs at the sticks to try and get as close as you can or knock it over.
Yeah.
Now, I reckon you might have enough space to do that there. It's quite a simple game to set up.
Yeah.
And that is a very Portuguese game, and he's at tournament level now with the locals. He engages and plays that. So maybe you could fix something up like just as a side, to bring
Just
people
to
in
draw some
and do that.
interest. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a great idea. And I think the market idea is great. We've got lots of friends here that do market stalls that are really successful all summer. So as long as you're hitting it during the summer, you'll get more people visiting. They're going to see what it's like. Just make sure you've got some products that are simple that they like. There's lots of food stalls and things you can bring in, so you don't have to make any of the effort. We've got a mate who runs a really successful little pizza stall at most of the markets around here, and people that do all sorts of stuff. So I'm sure we can put them in contact with you. I'm not sure if they'll. I don't know which side of you is it, Gary? Is it kind of more towards the coast, or is it?
No, it's literally 10 minutes down the road from me, going south towards Tamar.
So I'm sure I could get a couple of people to come along to your market, a couple of stall holders, and the more people you have, the better. To be honest, I think so.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure we'll get in contact through Gary. So
that'd be wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, I've heard great things about the markets. The only difficulty with the market is trying to find a weekend that there's not another market, because there's so many now.
You have to time it well, definitely.
Oh man, the timing is everything. So luckily I've been to a few markets and I've made some contacts. So they've told me, no, you can't do that day, you can't do that day. And I do actually have some Portuguese stall holders that have shown quite a lot of interest. So I'm like clinging on to them for dear life. I'll give you anything you want.
No, it is. I help organise them. Well, a little bit. I don't really help. I kind of hang around when they're organising the festa here. And if you've got a bigger band on the same day as your festa, and there's usually about 3 or 4 festas on the same weekend, it can go really badly. It's really important because it's your kind of one of your big nights of the year. So you're absolutely right. Find out what the competition's like and find out what day's going to be best to do it. But I'm sure if you get enough interest, there's a lot of really successful weekly markets around here. So it's a really good way of getting yourself well known in the community quickly and getting to know some really nice people as well, to be honest. So
we talk about the man himself, and he's appeared on the screen. This is the man we've just been talking about, the Malian man himself.
I hear great things.
Yeah. Evening all, how you doing?
You're looking very sunburned there, Mark. Have you been? You look like you've been out for a day and a half.
Well, yeah, it's that plus obviously a little bit of the old red wine. So got to be done, hasn't it? Once in a while,
it has to be,
and it's always better when you drink your own wine. So
of course it is. Of course it is, especially when they're as good as yours. Yours is pretty damn good stuff. So,
what's it like? How would you describe it?
Well, yes, the man himself. I mean,
Yeah, come on, Mark. Is that sort of one mark of wine, or do you have a range?
It's literally just the one. They're made with Touriga Nacional grapes.
Touriga Nacional.
Quite a smooth wine. I sort of feel as though it's a sort of lunchtime wine. It's it's just a really nice smooth wine.
So I'm kind of getting the sense that it's a kind of quaffable wine, that you don't really have to pair it with something like food.
You can literally just drink it away. So which is good.
If you pair it with another glass, that's all.
Sorry.
Well, Eric is a bit of
another glass.
Yes.
But if you were to pair it with something, what do you see that wine going with?
I would say it's something not normal red and white meat, really.
Right.
Fancy maybe something, duck.
Duck. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
A red wine with duck.
Yeah.
Because normally you tend to go for a white, wouldn't you?
Well, Reds always tend to want to go for beef and stuff, don't you?
Yeah,
The heavy
beef,
meats,
lamb.
But no, I can see red going with duck. I mean, I might.
Yeah, lovely red. Yeah, definitely.
Red goes with everything. Trust me on that.
Even as it with cornflakes. So
Yeah.
Oh,
Fruit Loops.
what was I going to say? Yeah, your wine was actually, I don't know if it still is. Were you going to supply it to your local cafe? Did they ever have again? Yeah.
Yeah, so they've had some. Obviously, it needs to be unofficial because I'm not licensed or anything like that. As we all know, then you can put things through the back door, and you take the odd meal out of the front door, and that's how it works in Portugal, isn't it? As I'm sure you're going to find out, Isabel.
Yeah.
it's a really good way of doing things, I have to admit. It's, very handy.
They're well, in actual fact, we're starting to sort of look at how we might be able to do it, sort of this year, because at the moment the vines are looking really, really good. So I'm hoping for a much, much better crop, and everybody locally is.
Do you have a tip for this year? Do you think it's going to be a bit of a bumpy year? Because we've had a very, very wet winter.
I would have thought you decimated the crops with all the rain we've had, but
it puts the water in the ground. It's there.
It's been great for everything, really.
Yeah. So, the largest local wine supplier around, they were down 40% on grapes last year. They're actually expecting from their normal vineyards, they're expecting around about 100 to 120% this year, because the indicators are actually looking really, really good. But in actual fact, that guy has just bought another 24 hectares of vineyards. So he's a big player, and I'm in the process of. I'm introducing him to a couple of the wine merchants that I know in the UK. So he's hoping to actually start exporting. But he is a 250,000 litre producer. So, and again, Isabella, I can certainly put you in contact with people that, if you want sort of a slightly different wine from a different region, as opposed to or local. Again, we're not that far away, but certainly a few 5-10 litre boxes, or indeed if you want bottles, it depends how you want to do it. But certainly, there's a few people I can put you in contact with, local stuff as well.
And
That'd
also,
be wonderful. That'd be wonderful.
We've also established a link with the local craft brewery as well, who is about to open up just on the far side of Tamar. So you might want to have a speak with them as well, because he looks like he's going to do some good beers. He's going to do some good products. So there's lots and lots of different things we can help you with, and we want you to. We want you to succeed.
Thank you.
Because I used to love going down to Amigos. It was convenient distance, and it's a nice setting. It's in a nice part of the country. So we're going to wish you complete and utter success with what you're doing, and whatever we can do to help you along that road, we will do.
What about the chef? I mean, who's in control of the cooking?
I am.
You are. So you are the chef.
I am the chef. Yes.
Yeah, you are the cook. You're the head honcho.
I am.
Right.
I am. At the moment, I'm really the only employee. So I am head honcho, and I'm very difficult to manage. So it's a high stress environment.
It certainly is. To get unlimited staff and get the numbers in and to do the whole business, it's 24 hours a day.
It is. It's a tough old job. But,
Don't want to put you off.
It's tough because I have no idea of the demand. So once I know, then I can kind of hire and staff accordingly. But right now it's very difficult. I'm like, am I going to hire someone and then no one shows up?
Well, yeah.
So I'm going to start simple and kind of figure it out from there, I think.
I tell you what,
Eric wanted to say something there. Just one second.
Yeah, no, I just have a question. This is the first time Isabella and I have met. I'm curious as to where you came from before you came here, and why you decided to open a restaurant when you came here.
You stole my question, Eric.
It's a good question.
It is.
Well, I'm from Canada originally. I grew up in Southern Africa, so that's why my accent's a little bit weird.
Yes, we can hear
But,
that.
Yeah, I can pick that up. Yeah.
But yeah, I was living in Toronto for quite a few years, and I went to culinary school there, and I was working in restaurants and whatnot there for quite a while. And then I had a brief stint in Edinburgh just because I wanted to get out of Canada. And then my parents actually bought the place. So they were leaving Botswana and they heard that Portugal was great. So they came over, we looked at the place. We thought it seemed like a cool opportunity. We didn't maybe put as much thought into it as one does when you're jumping into something like this, but we thought, you know, why not? It's got a little restaurant on it. Let's see what happens. So yeah, so they live in the house, and then I'm running the restaurant. And the idea initially was that I was going to kind of get it started up and then maybe go my own way, you know, stay for a few years and figure it out. But that seems like that's not the case anymore. I think I'm here to stay. So yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of thought that was put into it beforehand, before the purchase, to be completely honest. We are hospitality people. You know, my family owned a guest house in Botswana, and as I said, I've worked in restaurants in every department. So yeah, so that's why I'm here.
Cool.
So,
Just one, sorry to cut you.
that's all right.
Before I forget, what's scrolling across the bottom is our local Facebook group, which kind of covers Central Portugal. So if you want to post events and things, or you know, join the group, join there, or even better, give it to the man there on your left, who will put it out at almost national, almost international level. Very good at that, and I'm sure he will publicise what you've got. I just need, again, because the comments are coming in, just catch up with a few comments. Little message for you here, Pete. Glad you made it.
There's what I wanted to reply to that, because so go ahead and read it out. But there's something really interesting about what you said there.
Okay.
That's a big difference between one experience we've had and another. So yeah, go ahead.
He really likes the idea of themed months.
Oh, great!
Yeah,
thank you, Bob.
A little bit of advice from our resident gardener, Mr. Lee McGrady. Keep it simple and concentrate on great service. Well, that's basic, isn't it, really?
I believe in that.
So.
Yeah.
But if you don't get the food out, they're not going to come again, are they? So,
I always think it's great to go to a restaurant that does 5 dishes really well, rather than being faced with 40 dishes where they're kind of like, you know, they're a bit iffy. So if you can do 5 or 6 dishes really, really well, I think that's a key to success.
Yes.
Yep.
And get known for those dishes.
Brewing beer. I come from lastly from North Carolina before I came here, and the area that I lived had, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 breweries, and some of them you would go into and they had boards and boards and boards of all the beers that they made, and other ones you went into, they had one board, and what they did well, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's overwhelming for everybody if there's too much going on, I think. So,
yeah, that's true.
You know.
Yep.
The other little pearl of advice is we have a friend, Jason, who makes very good, high quality and largely organic fruit and vegetables, who you might want to have a word with. It's just the other side of Figueira de Vinhos there. He does really good quality stuff. Now then, here's a rare pearl on the screen. Rafael de Furia. Another broadcaster, the man with the golden voice of honey and delight. It said this crowd and the conversation is about beer. He's shocked. What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say?
Come on, we've got to hear this guy.
I would love Raf. I mean,
Raf.
I'll tell you
come
what,
on,
Raf. I'll put the link up for you to join, or anybody else that wants to comment and ask Isabella questions.
Yeah,
if they need to. So there is just. Click
I
that.
wanted to address Bob's thing really quickly, because he says, glad your visit went well. My doctor is put in a request for urgent assessment of a hernia, and the appointment is 5 weeks away. Well, I'll be honest with you, that's A, seems a bit long, right? And B, it's you can get, what you have to do here is choose the hospitals quite carefully. So we originally were going to a hospital in Castelo Branco, and they have no doctors there. They've not got a major hospital next to them. So they had loads of nurses and assistants and no doctors, and everything would take forever to kind of get done. And referrals took a long time as well. We've since then we go to the one in Cavilla, which has got
Much better.
tons of doctors. There's a massive public hospital just down the road from the private hospital. It's really well rated, and there is no way we'd be waiting that long for assessments for something that's that important kind of thing. I mean, as I said, I got all of my assessments done.
Yeah, so maybe
literally
find,
within
look and see
12
if there's
hours.
another hospital you can go to.
Yeah, or get a second opinion from someone else and get referred. Because so I have no doubt that Bob must be on private insurance, because as part of being an American coming over here, he's got to have it. So he's got to be careful with where he picks, because ours was the same private insurance, but it was just that we picked the wrong hospital to begin with. So it's one of those things where you have to be quite picky about where you go.
You might have to travel a little bit further, but you'll get seen quicker.
But one of the things about being in central Portugal rather than being in like Lisbon is that you do have excellent services that aren't under as much heavy use as they would be in like a capital. So it's definitely worth like checking on, especially when it's something as serious as a hernia is what I'd say. So I would definitely encourage Bob to get a second opinion and try and get an appointment quicker, because I'm sure he can. So yeah, anyway. that's
Gary, can I just put a capper on the beer conversation before we go on? I was reading an article yesterday, and Portugal fell right in between the United States and the United Kingdom in beer consumption per capita in 2023.
That's shocking, isn't it? Really?
That is shocking, because
aren't
the Portuguese the biggest wine drinkers in the world?
And that's what I thought. And that's what I thought too.
Ahead, I think they're pretty good, aren't they? They're the biggest fish consumers in Europe. I know that much. So they are mental about fish. But it's
so it's fish, wine, beer. Yeah.
Yeah, but the beers they mainly produce are one of two, aren't they? To be honest, yeah. So it's kind of like But
I just found it shocking that right in between the UK and the United States was Portugal. It was like 24, 25, 26 in the world, and they were right in the middle of those two. So
beer's also incredibly cheap here, isn't it? I mean, like 90 cents a glass we usually do our beer at, or €1. I don't know. For me, one of the hardest things is finding a profit margin if you were doing it.
I don't know how
lots of things are done communally, but it is tricky to find a profit margin when you're competing against that.
Bob should try if he's got.
I can't believe it. I was on in San Martino the other day and actually paid $1.80 for a beer. And I was sitting there going, 180, that's outrageous. Because you're used to the 90 cents. And I sat there thinking, what a skinflint, you know?
Don't come down to the capital.
180.
Even trying to barter.
Yeah, I would actually.
Right, okay. I'm just giving everybody a little bit of a breath, right? Because I'm just going to show you a little video I did at the weekend. It's not a great video, but it's a little video of the celebration of Nossa Senhora de Cavois, the Lady of the Caves, Our Lady of the Caves. Pete, and I think who else has been there? I can't remember whether I took you there or not. There's a little chapel up the hill, and I always take people there to have a look, but it's very rare that you can actually go in. But on this particular day, they open the chapel up, and it's the festival of the Lady of the Caves, but it also is Mother's Day. What would normally happen is to have a big celebration and lots of people having picnics, beautiful sunshine, great views, and a really nice day, music a lot. Because of the weather, it didn't work out that way. Not so much so, but this kind of gives you a general feeling, because they take the little effigy of the Lady of the Caves, and the story is that very, very quickly, a woman on a shepherdess on her journey through the hills found a cave. In the cave was a little figurine of Mary, Lady of the Caves, Nossa Senhora. So she took it home with her, and when she got up in the morning, it had gone. So she, that's strange. Went back to the cave again, and it's back in the cave. She did this 3 times, and the figure always went back to the caves. So it attracted to a certain amount of like religious fervor, but its history goes back a long, long time before that. It's quite a deep and kind of religious, spiritual praise around here. So all I'm going to do is show you the little video. It's only a couple of minutes long of them carrying the little figurine around and doing their bit, accompanied by the Philharmonic Orchestra of Alviasra. A lot of young people, right? A really, really good little bunch of musicians. So I'll just play this for you. So you can take a break and relax a bit. There you go. sound. There we go. And put it full.
Showing a video.
Did I? Right, that staircase there, right? I don't know whether they still do, but they used to have to carry that up that staircase, which is quite an effort really for something like that. So
that's a big staircase.
it is a big staircase, and it actually got a bend on it as well. So
I'm off to bed now. Good night.
But normally, what would happen, as I say, it'd be a lovely event. You'd have picnics, families, a celebration of Mother's Day, and music. Stalls for that sort of stuff, but unfortunately the weather curtailed everything. But it was nice just to get a look inside the chapel, and it is really, really tranquil and very, very sort of intense place. So I can understand why it's so coveted and treasured. So just thought I'd throw that in there to give you a bit
excellent
bit of time to catch.
Very Godfather-esque, that
it
music.
Was really,
yeah.
But it's lovely. It's lovely to see young people you know, being engaged like that and playing instruments, and you know, like your people up in there, Pete and Diane, the Tractor Fest was full of young people, and
it was really good. Yeah, so many people have said to us they hope they do it next year because they missed it and they want to come next year. So
yeah, it's good. I really, really enjoy it, and I really do hope that it grows and gets to be a
well, for the first one ever to have 60 tractors. That was really good. So
we've got a bit of a moped event coming up, haven't we?
We do actually. I'm going to have a look at that. Yeah, it's a bit of a motorcycle moped event. I can't remember the name of it. I'll put it up. I'll paste it.
It's just an excuse, isn't it, to get out and have a few drinks?
Well, I'm told you can see.
They don't need any excuses, do they?
I'm told you can see it coming because of the blue haze that it leaves behind
of alcohol.
But that kind of leads me on anyway. That last clip kind of leads me on to my next conversation topic: is how you sort of tips for integrating in the community around you. I mean, a few basic thoughts about that. I mean, there's the obvious things.
What about Eric? I mean, in Lisbon.
Well, he has his neighbourhood. He has his own cafe.
Their neighbourhood.
They know.
And your local restaurant. You've got a local Indian and stuff, which is lovely. I'm jealous of definitely.
So, yeah, we were actually in the cafe this morning, and Pat's doing her best to speak in Portuguese because there's not a whole lot of English going on in there. And it was funny. Pat said the gentleman that we think it's 4 brothers that run this place, and it's open 7 days a week, holidays, this and that. I think they're closed Christmas, maybe New Year's, but every other day they're open. But Pat said, oh, he knows another English word. It's sweet. So he knows coffee with milk. And now we understand he knows sweet, because somebody came in this morning that didn't speak a whole lot of Portuguese and wanted like a croissant. And he was like, sweet or not sweet? You know what I mean? Because they make all different types, of course. So that's one of the places we go and it's only 2 blocks from my house. Thankfully, but on the other side of the coin, maybe not so much. I can get away with English nearly anywhere. But my wife was giving it her best, and she's every chance she gets, she's trying to throw some more out there. So,
I'll give you an example, Eric, of how different it is here. So when we had an appointment with the Freguesia and Financas, even during COVID, because our lawyer is personal friends with the people in the office, we got to see him straight away. So we didn't have to wait at all, and we were in and out in 15 minutes. And on the whole, I think the smaller the place you're in, probably the easier it is to sort things out. So, for example, I'm sure it's easier where you are, Gary, but it'll be even easier at the Eagle's Nest where you are there to kind of do things, just as it's going to be really easy for Mark, because once you've got to know the people in the village and once you've got to know your local community, everyone knows each other. So you kind of, it's Gary, everybody even my teacher greeted me on the Tuesday with a phrase about how my tractor had broken down, right? So they get to know
there. They all know.
Before I've done anything, which is it can be a bane, but it's still quite funny. So yeah, I think it's kind of and once you've made those connections, things just become a lot easier. So in a lot of respects, I think the administration somewhere smaller can be easier. I'm not saying it's always easy, especially with like immigration. But I think the benefit you've got, Eric, is you've just got a lot more footfall, a lot more people. So for you, Isabella, it's that it's trying to find out how much you've got, but also making those connections. What Mark's done with growing wine and playing Malia and getting involved that way is brilliant. And the more connections you can make locally, the easier your life will be. And that's what I really appreciate about living here. Yeah, it's just lovely. It's the community here you can rely on. And literally
everywhere. You've got an offer from the mayor if she needs anything while you weren't well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So most people will kind of help out, and there's loads of things you learn that you just wouldn't know before. I was wasting loads of money setting fire to things with petrol, and I didn't realize a pine cone is like a mini grenade. And basically, I set anything with a pine cone.
Giving his history away now, isn't he?
He's the one who caused all the fires.
No, we've got to burn the
rest of the olives.
The rest of the olive cuttings got to burn tomorrow.
So it's only about 500 olive trees I've got to burn the remains of. So it's not.
Talking of which, I actually coming back from Coimbra today, and I saw my first fire.
No,
believe it or not. How does that happen?
There was a fire today.
Yeah. It was kind of probably to the north of Figueira de Vinhos. Whether they were just burning the fields or not, I don't know. But it was a pretty big fire, whichever way you looked at it. So it just goes to show anything's possible, isn't it? Any time of the year. But looked a bit scary to me. Mark, I know you've got a few tips on integration. What's your top tips for integration?
Get out in there and do it. Don't hold back. So I'm fortunate. I live in a reasonable sized village. We've got 7 bars or cafes. We've got, the beautician. We've got the hairdresser. We've got the post office. We've got the pharmacy. So for me, it's been, I found it quite easy after I actually did it. So for about the first year that I was living here, I was more focused on other things. And then I started to integrate probably a year in. I've now lived here 2.5 years. And I think last week, Terence, you were saying that you couldn't walk down the street without people saying hello to you, and sort of you had to make diversions. And it's exactly the same for me now, which I feel really privileged that the village has embraced me the way that I've tried to embrace the village. And that is about going, having the coffee in the morning, having a beer in the evening, watching the football, supporting one of the Portuguese teams. It is about, using the local facilities. And again, I'm an absolute advocate of that. There's a couple of new businesses open in the village, and it's like, well, why wouldn't you use it? Yeah, it might be a little bit more expensive than you can get elsewhere, but it's all about supporting the local community, and I think that just gets acknowledged by the people. So I'm one of them. That's how it feels now, which for me as an introvert is a huge barrier to actually overcome, and I feel very privileged.
Well, we have one of our resident Portuguese guys with us, my friend, colleague, Joel. I wonder if I put the link up there, he might join us and give us a bit of info on this.
Oh, he's great, Joel. Definitely. Just
going to go back there. See if you're not busy, Joel, come on and tell us from your point of view. Good way to integrate and get to know people.
Yeah, from a Portuguese perspective, what do they want in terms of foreigners integrating?
Well, you see, I was going to say there are a few classic mistakes you can make which can work negatively against you. I mean, you want to go somewhere, right? And you want to make friends, and you want to, get people to notice you. So you might say, "Oh, yeah, I'll buy everybody a round of drinks or something like that," and then they're not necessarily that comfortable with that, I've noticed.
No, because they always know that they've got to give back.
Yes, there's that reciprocal thing, and it's going to make them feel
honestly, Gary, I couldn't disagree with you more. Honestly, the amount of times that we just end up with like table full of drinks all the time. But
I've got to buy a big round.
Send you with a groaning table.
Yeah, you end up with a massive table. But I think with what Mark says, I think it's a lot to do with the effort you put in straight away, right? So we did like 5 days at the Festa straight away working there, and they saw that we kind of did some work and put some effort into the community, and that way you get much more respect. And it's exactly the same as Mark using the fact that we're using the land as a proper olive farm rather than using it as a kind of encampment or something.
Really
and the fact that Mark's using it as a vineyard rather than changing it into something sort of like, completely different, I think gets you a lot of respect. So it's much more about kind of the effort you put in, you get out, I think. And I don't agree with buying rounds of drinks because I think most of the time, they're more than happy. You don't get a chance. Yeah, they're more than happy. You end up with blooming tons of drinks wherever you go all the time anyway. So they're more than happy to buy.
We were in the cafe the other week, and we only went in for one quick coffee, and we ended up there for about 6 hours with a table full of beers.
And we haven't got as many cafes as Mark.
Everyone walked in and knew us. We came out with a bottle.
Yeah, it's really lovely, I think. But Mark, you must have exactly the same in your village. It's difficult to get away from like having loads of drinks on your table, or even to kind of get away and work sometimes when you want to. I think it's a hard one.
You keep saying we're going now. But no, it doesn't.
I think it's easier if you know them, Pete, because they'll be a bit more, recognizing what you are and used to you. But if you go just in somewhere and just dump it down, and I'm seeing it makes them really uneasy. They don't kind of really know what to do with that.
Bizarre behaviour.
Yeah. And the other thing, right? And it's been a newbie here. It might not be the same in Lisbon. Is tipping, right? If you leave somebody a tip here in the back end of nowhere, it's like almost unheard of.
Yeah.
And then you get a lot of looks from everybody else in the restaurant wherever you go, and like, oh, I might have to
look
do
at
that.
Mr. Flash,
and I might have to do that now. And that's not going to make you the most popular person because it just makes them look bad.
Yeah.
And so try and be a bit more sensitive about it.
You with your big wad of cash there, loads of money, yeah. Wind your neck in, will you?
How about Lisbon? Is that as prevalent in Lisbon? Have you come across that?
Yeah, sadly, depending on where you go, like the cafe I was just speaking about, there's no tipping there. But if you go, I don't know, 5-6 blocks back down towards the water down there, it becomes a very tourist trap down there.
Yeah.
Well, and now the people that run the restaurants in some of those areas are starting to employ the tip mentality. So they'll come up to you, when you want to pay your bill, and they'll be like, okay, customary tip is this. You can put what you want. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, I know customary tip is 0. So, so you kind of get shame. It's tip shaming, I think, is the phrase that's being thrown around right now. But yeah, it's the small restaurants, the legit Portuguese places. It's not expected. It's not even.
I wonder what Joel thinks of tipping.
This is going to be an interesting one for me. Let's
Good evening, Joel.
Over to you.
Tipping.
What do we think about that then?
About being what? Go again.
No,
when you have a meal, right, and then you might get somebody who puts a load of money down on the table as extra for the waitress or waitress's stuff. How does that kind of feel in Portuguese society? Is that
tipping to the waiters or anything else?
Yeah,
it is not. I would say is not at least here in the big cities. I don't think that is uncommon to that. But also the personnel that are working, the workers there, are also not expecting a large amount of tips, which is occasionally due to the quality of the service. It is expected.
I think that's very true, Joe. I think the thing
it is to my is both being on both sides, since my late grandfather used to have a grocery store. Even though we didn't receive any tips, but it is still a common thing.
We've lost his connection.
Yeah,
maybe that budgie has escaped that he's got.
That's what I reckon.
The other thing to remember is Joel. He's
sorry about that. Somebody forgot to knock on the door. Picking up where I was, so it is not common, but it is not unprecedented. So.
Okay, but you are north of Porto, so you're a bit more touristy up there, so it's probably a little bit different from where I live.
I'm not in the Porto area by itself, but I've seen occasionally other services that are not, for example, cafes or restaurants or anything else, also receiving tips, just because at the end, even though they are, for example, long-lasting customers, they tend to, they tend to receive, because they know the truthfulness of the honesty of the persons there that they serve him, or they are being served by the person. They usually go there. For example, my friend that has a mechanic shop, he is not uncommon for him to receive tips for making repairs or anything else, because the customers that he has are regular. So it's been long-lasting customers. For example, myself, I am a customer of him. Even though I don't tip him, I have other things to compensate besides friendship. I also go with him when he needs to pick up parts, or if he needs any help of moving stuff around. And that's my way of tipping him for the services and the facilitations that he does to me. So
you did well there. You did well. I couldn't say that.
Facilitation.
I couldn't say that word, and I'm English.
When I mean facilitations, I will when the labor costs are not included in the bill of paying for any repairs on my vehicles.
Yeah, I'm always wary as well that if you start tipping people, then they don't have to pay them so much wages. I mean, that's very common in America, isn't it? Low wages. I don't really want that to happen here.
Yeah. What do you don't want to happen? Portugal's got the lowest wages in the whole of Europe.
It's so really going with more, isn't it?
If you've got good service, and as Joel says, if you've got rubbish service, don't tip. But if you've got good service, I don't see any problem with tipping occasionally, because the pay that most people are getting.
I agree, Pete. But as long as it goes to the waitress or waiter, and not the owner of the place itself, which does happen.
Yeah.
Be careful. So, sorry,
I think the
not aimed at you, because I know you're going to start doing that.
What kind of tips are you expecting, Isabella?
I think the Portuguese, in general, frown upon the tipping culture.
Yeah, I found
that. I've sort of been reading a lot about that, over the time that I've been here, and they don't want like the American tipping culture to come in and all of that. It's like when I went to when I would visit London, right? There's a no tipping policy there too. And even if you left something on the bar, the barman would be like, no, really, you don't need to tip. And, you'd have to almost, I don't want to say convince them to keep it, but it was the same way.
Yeah, but then again, I'm sorry to do, but then again, you will start to see the same things that will happen in all the touristy cities around the world, which is that culture starts to impregnate in the behavior of those that are providing the services, or even the bosses of providing, then starts to, on the bill themselves, starts to tip X amount or X percentage. And honestly, that is something that if the services is crap, I don't see the point of tipping, even though the services wasn't provided was top notch, or at least you see that there wasn't any effort of being provided a decent service to the person that is being attended by.
Yep.
I'm just going to catch up with a few more comments because they've actually come in while I've not been watching. Bob obviously went public, Pete, by the looks of it. Health-wise.
Yeah.
180, that's tourist tax.
Yeah.
Emergency is excellent for sure. The rest is the waiting game. Well, that's kind of almost worldwide now, really, isn't it?
Insurance for.
Yeah, Bob went there with me, and I'm sure you went there with me, Eric. With
yes,
Bob.
we did. I was going to say that you took us there. Yeah.
Gary, can I just come back to Bob really quick? It's just that you have essentially the reason why you have insurance is not for any major operation, because you're not going to get it in a private hospital, but you get it for all the tests. So like they have all the latest equipment, they have all the tests. So for him to wait 5 weeks just to get an assessment, he should be hassling his insurance company, because there is no way he should be waiting that long.
Well, even Pete, I mean, here in Alve Azra, I've done it myself. There is a private hospital, and if you need a test, it's not that expensive.
It's not expensive at all, yeah. And
if it's an urgent thing, like you say, maybe you should get on it. And
well, he's got insurance, so he should be getting it anyway. To be honest, so yeah, that's a.
Simon is saying hello, everybody.
No, that's not Simon. That's Glenn.
Is he? Sorry.
That's Glenn.
Sorry, wrong way around. Glenn, sorry. Joel's here already.
Yep.
Hello, Jean.
The man, the legend.
Oh yeah, he's on about Raphael.
Oh,
Raphael de Furia.
Yep.
Who's still not come on?
The man, the legend. No, he's working, so I understand.
Yeah, the vanishing point man.
The vanishing point man. Right. Now then, we have crossed the hour. Guys, if anybody needs to go, I will understand. But I'm just going to now because I'm all about promoting people and letting them have their say. The gentleman here to my right, I haven't really ever kind of let you know what he does, what he's about. He's a multi-talented guy, but I'm sure he can tell you that himself. And we've got his webpage here. If you're
very good with glove puppets.
So come on, it's your spotlight moment now.
Well, you can ask me some questions. I mean, you just kind of
okay. What are you about? What do you do? How did you get here? What am I about?
How do you encapsulate me?
You asked me to ask you a question, and then you said, "What kind
of?" That's a tough one. What am I about? Basically, I've had a long history. One as an artist, two as a guy. I used to own a video production company, so I've done things like been a runner. All the way through to sound recordist, cameraman, right away up to scriptwriter, director, and producer. You name it, I've done it. I feel very happy in that field. But I think really my starting point was obviously art and painting, and I'm a very visual person. And it always has been a kind of thing that I've carried on right the way through my career. And I see the whole thing as photography, which I'm professional at, and being a video cameraman, which I'm professionally qualified at, and being an artist as a connected amalgam of various skills. And I've had a great chance to practice that here in Portugal, which I'm very happy about, and enjoyed it immensely.
I mean, we've seen some of your paintings here.
Yeah,
which
Alcobaça
I recognise
on
them
a wet
'cause
day.
I've seen them. Alcobaça's a lovely place, isn't it? A lot of history there.
Superb place.
You know, it's a great place to sort of go.
And many, you know, it can be like an anvil of a place in the summer, really hot. There's Nazaré.
I think we've all
of
seen
course.
that, haven't we? We've all stood there once,
Yeah.
and so that a nice lady with the fish. What's all that about?
She was lovely. But I always believe in, like, if you want a nice picture, do a bit of a tip. So she cost me a £5, and she's talked to me for ages, and you know, you can see a lot of character in the way they dress and the way they act in front of the camera.
Are these all your pictures as well?
Yeah, yeah.
All your own pictures.
That's all Nazaré, the marina.
Yeah.
But it's paintings, photography, video production. I do a lot of work now in the housing sector too. Now, people would say, well, that's a bit down market, isn't it?
I'll come away from
But
that.
not to me. I love it all.
Well, you're doing sort of moving into other regions now, aren't you? You're kind of expanding, shall we say? Do you want to mention what that's all about and where that is going?
I'm expanding.
Yes, into other markets, other places, other projects.
Not really. I'm returning, to be honest with you.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that is true.
You know, it sounds like, but it's revisited. I've always done photography. I've had to work professionally at it, and I say had to. It's like a hobby to me. It's not work. I love it. I've always painted, and I've always, pretty much for about the last nearly 40 years now, made video productions, and it's never really left me. And thank God I still have the chance to do that type of thing here. You know, be it from small little pieces for you, little takes on.
You leave my small little piece out of this.
We got a small piece, and then, you know, longer stuff. And I don't mind working in advertising, and I don't mind working in other areas. It's all an amalgam to me. It's all connected. So I have a lot of fun. Portugal, I'm over here. I like the light. I like the way that shadows are filled out, and you can see into what you're looking at. But you don't get that in the UK.
You weren't originally in this region, were you? You're coastal. You were San Martin de Porto.
Yeah.
Many of the places we've seen there.
Yeah.
And how is the difference coming here? Is it, you know?
There's not much of a difference in terms of light. In subject matter, yeah, there is. I mean, the light here can get harder in the summer because you've not got those winter mists. But you get down a decent valley, you've still got like a cloud cover and that type of thing. So there's not a great deal of difference. Probably a little bit in subject matter, but I mean, Portugal is so pictorial. It's such an ever-changing landscape, and it's a real sort of motivation every day of your life. Really, take a walk down the street, and there's entertainment. You just got to have the eyes to look and you know, to see. So really,
are we going to actually see any of your property videos that you've done?
Can do.
And
yeah.
Can I grab some of those and throw them up?
Why not?
I can't do it now because I'm pre-prepared. But if we throw in one in there now and then, I'm sure people will like to look at those.
Yeah,
and it's. I mean, they are. How would you differentiate them from other property videos? How would you say that you are different?
Content. Yeah, and by that I mean like actually talking to people and making them pieces of marketing. I mean, if you boil it down to say, well, what is your use? Yeah, why are you here? If you look in terms of videos for selling houses, then they probably sell quicker. Every house I've ever photographed has always sold.
Yeah,
and there's not one I could point to and say that there is one at the moment. That's in the process of. And that's a big multi-million property, so they take a little bit longer to sell. But every one that I've done has sold. So I think it's getting a place sold, getting it sold at the price that people want.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Showing it off to its best, finding novel ways of showcasing and telling the story behind a property. That's one of the main things, to tell the story of the property. And also, you know, the agent and etc., and kind of marrying these two things together. And I think all my kind of scripting and research and directing, because I've worked with actors and actresses, and
you've worked with Munson, of course.
And I've worked with Munson. Yeah, he's quite easy to work with, to be honest with you. I mean, he just spits it out. With Carl, you have to stop him a little bit, you know, and rein him back in. But no, he people don't realise with that guy what a kind of professional he really is.
Well, he cranks out a program every day.
Yeah.
I mean, this is once a week, and it's tough. It's tough going to try and fit the content in and you know, get things going.
But he's doing it every day.
He's doing it every day, and
it's a consistent performance.
That's of a godlike performance in my book.
Yeah.
So as far as your properties, if people have got a property, you know, they're interested, might be buying or selling. Do you have contacts around about? Because could that be done? Is that a possibility?
Yeah, well, a whole backup of advice, be it legal, be it mortgages, appraisals, that type of thing. Because I've worked a lot with estate agents, so I know a lot of estate agents, and I know the good ones, and I know the not so good ones.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've been doing that for about 15 years here, 16 years. So I've got a long track record. I've seen a lot of places, seen a lot of interesting locations. But really, it's about going along, doing a recce, you know, doing the basic things. Where's the sun? Is it windy?
And doing it well.
And getting on site and finding the story behind each property.
Well, I look forward to seeing them. Maybe you could slide them a few our way.
What do you mean? You look forward to seeing? You filmed half of them with me.
You know, I haven't seen them.
I look forward to seeing them.
Lately, I haven't seen them. You've done a lot on your own, so that's what I'm on about. So those new ones, I may always enjoy film. To me, I'm just a cameraman who's wandered out in front of the camera.
He's
here.
just a cameraman.
This is not my natural territory. It's a challenge, but like most other people, you know, I want to give something back, and if I can help people promote things like yourself, Isabella, and we can see, you know, what's happening around us and try and just get in there and integrate as much as possible, you know, in this beautiful land where we live. Yeah. That is my mission. I have no other sort of aim than that. Really. Yeah. So, Isabella, it's been wonderful having you on board. It's been great
to be here.
You're always welcome back to tell us about anything you want to.
Thank you very much.
You want to post on either of our sites there, please do so, because I want your ventures to succeed. And
yes.
An awful lot of people around here probably would likewise think the same way.
Yep.
You need bums on seats, basically.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Very much so, yes.
Make some nice food.
I'll try my best.
Yeah.
I'm sure you will.
Always open to feedback.
Well, we need Isabella's contact details up there somewhere so that we can keep track of what she's up to.
We will keep track of Isabella. Don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah.
And obviously, when you come down, Eric, I'm sure it's just only a little bit down the road, so we'll go there.
I'll be there. Yep.
Wonderful.
So, ladies and gentlemen, yes, once again, we've gone past the allotted hour by quite a long time. I thank you all for joining me, and we're having a nice conversation, seen a nice few things, and I hope to see you again next week. And you hope you all keep well. Pete, hope you're on the mend there. So
get well,
and just, you know, keep taking the drugs, so to speak.
My God, I can't believe how much they honestly. Every time I get a doctor's appointment, I always end up with like a chemist full. I reckon I could do a sideline just selling drugs. To be fair, it's unbelievable. But there you go.
You know that selling drugs is illegal in Portugal.
I know. But literally, it's the same. It's the same as fruit, though, Joel. Honestly, I remember when we arrived here, we ended up with like, what was it, 4 boxes of kiwis and like
lemons.
You could literally open a greengrocer as soon as
every time we opened the door, there was a basket of something on the step. You know,
that is lovely.
Homemade cheese and
it's lovely. It is a lovely place, definitely.
Okay, guys, I'm going to play about with the outro video. you might recognise a few of these scenes here,
Yeah.
Pete. And I hope see you all next week. And take care, everybody.
Okay.
Uh,